Now I'm just going to bring our voltage up again. We'll see it rise. We'll see it rise on our dope for VU. The melody will start to increase in speed. The modulators will increase. Our scale changes. So now we're back to the E flat minor. And then I'm going to keep going. The voltage is increasing. The melody's going to increase. And then eventually we'll hit the third and final scale right about here. And that is our D minor 7 flat 5 with a few added chromatic notes just to thicken it up. Now the other thing that you might notice is that as I increase the voltage that we're seeing on the dope for VU, and now we're up at 6 volts, the speed that voltage is cycled through the quantizer also speeds up. And I'll show you how I did that. And there we go. So now I'm running fairly fast. I've got the VU meter at about 6.5 volts. And what I'm doing is using a bunch of mults that I've got running here that are passing that voltage in both an inverted and in a positive configuration. I'm patched into my double Landore, and it lets me choose to modulate both its rise and fall. And as you will remember from some of the original videos, the rise and fall of the double Landore is what I'm passing as an LFO function to the quantizer. So if I slow it down, we'll hear the scales change. The melody will slow down. And now, it's hard to see what the double Landore is doing, but it's right there on that yellow light. That has now slowed down, so the voltage passing through our quantizer has also slowed down. And the reason that I did that is that I want the speed that voltage passes through the quantizer to be just fast enough so that when the melodic side of the Krell envelopes are running fast, they're going to grab a new voltage about one of every 2 or 3 quantizer voltages, so that we're not hearing them get stuck on one voltage. And if that were to happen, then we would really hear the modulation that's driving the whole bones of the patch in the background. And we don't want to hear that. We want to hear the effect of the modulation, but we don't want to hear it directly. So we've got to be careful not to over-modulate things, but we also have to be careful that as we move some things and the rates and ranges of certain things in our patch, we're also changing the depth and the speed of the modulations so that we don't end up over or under modulating something. I'll just speed it up again. So now we're back to our third D minor 7 flat 5 scale. And our double Landore is now moving much faster. So we're zipping through that quantizer a lot faster. And then the other thing that you might hear, especially as I slow it down, so I'm going to drop it down, say to about just under 2 volts, which puts it into our first scale. And then I'll show you another aspect I've got set up. right at the top of our screen, we can see a whole little octopus of cables headed into our ZDSP tip-top effects module, and I'm using a Valhalla reverb card with it, and I've got it set to the chamber reverb setting, which can go quite long. And you'll see that I've got it cranked up quite high so that when it's fully modulated, it will run quite long, bright, dense reverbs. The chorus will be cranked up, the tone will be cranked up, and the decay will be cranked up. But I'm using a negative voltage from our Dope for VU meter, our master modulating voltage, to offset all these high knob settings and turn them down as the voltage increases. So as the Krell runs faster and the scales change and the Vulcan modulators speed up and the rate of the quantizer driving LFO speeds up, the reverb will get shorter and brighter. Almost to the point where really you don't hear it in there very much. I'm just going to crank it up in our mix artificially, just so you get a sense of what it's doing. And we'll have tons of it, which always works really well for everything modular. So here it is cranked full blast. That is almost 8 volts. So we're getting the smallest and brightest amount of reverb and the fastest Krell speed and quantization and LFO speed that I've currently got the whole system tuned to. And then as I start to bring it down, you'll see the VU drop, the melody will start to slow down, the speed of the LFO into the quantizer slows down, the 3 modulating LFOs slow down, we hit the first key change, so now we're in a different scale, and then we'll start to hear the reverb get longer and darker. The whole thing continues to slow down. We're down in just a couple of volts and we'll hit another key change. And now the Krell starts to move very, very slow. Well, I hope that you've been enjoying this deep dive into patching Eurorack systems. I will be back with another video. We'll take a look at how it is that I'm generating this voltage and all the kinds of different ways that we can generate it, as well as some of the other places that it's going, because yeah, as you would have guessed, it's also controlling all the other voices, so we'll have a listen to those and see what happens to them as we change this master controlling voltage. Please consider joining my Patreon. It helps me to make more videos and make more music. I always enjoy hearing and seeing your examples, so please don't be afraid to reach out, either on ModWiggler or here on YouTube. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.